I'm Randy LaBarge with the Tri-Fi International Film Festival here in Richland, Washington, and today I'm visiting with Corbin Schweitzer. We just watched Corbin's film Swipe Right, the story. Well, why don't I let you give the audience an overview of the story.
Okay, well, Swipe Right is a short comedy about one man's attempt to date 3 different women at the same place at the same time. It is based on a true story, let's put it that way. It is, I have a lovely friend of mine who lives this very precarious lifestyle and ultimately loves to swipe more often than not. It is truly based on our swipe culture that we live in right now, right? We live in this world where we have millions of people at our fingertips, and simply by a small gesture can we bring them potentially to our door. And I think because of that, there's this tendency to do it more than you should, in the sense that that we tend to forget that there is you should be more prudent particular about who you're going to choose to date, unless I guess you're just kind of going for, it's a numbers game, right? That's kind of what he looks at it. So this is, it's a fun way to look at dating, at the same way to kind of play and to make fun of the almost absurdity that some of these situations arise in. Very almost Mrs. Doubtfire-esque, a lot of running around and just concern, high anxiety towards not trying to be found out, but at the same time still trying to pull it off. Right. And I think that's kind of where the comedy comes in, is this idea of I think I can still do this. I'm still a confident, very successful young man, and whatever, and that kind of thing. And I think it's really shown, I think, in his mannerisms and in the way the film plays out. But truth be told, the film is really best shown within the eyes of the waiter and the audience, right? That's kind of where it comes down.
Now, you did the entire movie in one take.
Correct. Yeah. So the whole film was shot as a one take. It was the really decision was because we were looking to heighten the anxiety of his situation, right? We wanted to live in real time with our main character, our main actor, right? Because truth be told, this is a situation that he it's very stressful. There's a ton of anxiety around that, and we thought that the best way to really heighten that was to not cut, because I think the cuts, truth be told, are great, but there are breaks there. There's a little bit of a momentary lapse where you can see the different angle, but in this situation, there's no breaks between that. We have to live there as we have to run around and
Right. And so, did you really do it in one take, or how many takes did it actually take?
Well, I mean, it was a true oneer, but that was the one that we finally went with, was the 11th take, right? As in that was finally on the 11th version was finally the one where we cut. That was it, right? And that's where you'll see in the credits it was a big, everybody went up and cheered because it'd been a whole day's shoot, right? Despite the fact that the film is, I think the runtime is roughly only 10 minutes. When you have to reset a lot, like almost a dozen times, with everything that went into that's a lot, right? And so inevitably it ended up being the whole day, but by the time we finished, because of course you have to reset because of a flubbed line, or maybe someone speaks up, maybe a child talks, and by the end of the 11th take, we were just so excited. We just threw up our hands, and that's why there's also a bunch of people dancing. Literally, people just got up and started dancing in the bar because there was just almost this jubilation. Because part of it too is that for sound reasons, we had to have all of our bar patrons not say anything. They couldn't say a single word. They had to act as if they were talking, but it was more of a
right.
Where they have to, make the... Exactly. So it's a silent, almost a silent movie scenario, but they had to remain engaged as if they were at an actual bar, but at the same time not say a thing. They couldn't say anything. They could try not to, bang your silverware against because they said there was food that was served out, that it was prop food and such, and how do you almost stay still for 8 hours?
Right.
which is, I mean, oh my gosh, you got slightly insane.
Okay, so you did this 11 times. How many changes of clothes did the main character have to have because of the cider?
Oh my gosh. So, so the crazy part is at the very last scene, there's a moment where, as he's describing, there's a moment where one of our leading ladies dumps literally a pint of cider onto our main character's lap, and we knew that when this happened, it was going to be a game over situation. If we screwed up after that, we would have to go and rechange clothes, right? Surprisingly, we didn't have to do it. We never had to change clothes, ever, which is, I mean, seriously unheard of, because that's what we were because the thing was up until the 11th take, like even take 10, she mimed pouring, but we had told her, hey, cut, just mime it, and we'll just practice from there, but we'll reset. It was one of those where we'd always messed up before she had to pour. Like, it was always a mistake, or somebody said something wrong, or whatever. And so at one point, she had grabbed the drink to pour it, and we're like, stop! And she almost did it, and there was like a little bit, but so she just set it down. But it was one of those situations where we never had to change his outfit, ever. So like that 11th take was the first time we had seen the water up his shirt, and the first time that he went around to the bar to finish off the conversation. So it was almost a miracle. It was like one of those where we just had to just hold up our hands and hope that nothing happened.
So you shot this, I think, in Seattle, right?
Correct.
North Seattle, and you actually took over the restaurant,
yes,
the bar?
Correct. Yeah, we did. We were given the keys to the proverbial kingdom. We were shot at the Watershed Pub and Kitchen, which is a phenomenal bar right near Northgate. It's just north of Seattle. And they were kind enough to, let us basically rent out their facility on the 4th of July. So we managed to fill it up with a bunch of extras, and we had to. And they also were kind enough to cater for us, which was great. So all the food that the bar patrons were eating was actually their food, right? So which was great. And they catered for the actors as well. So when we had lunch, we broke for lunch or whatever. So everybody had. It was great because we were actually eating their food, right? We didn't bring in random outside food. So everybody got drink vouchers too, which is great. So the bar patrons were actual bar patrons because they were given, they had some drinks that they were enjoying, which was great as well. So
that's awesome.
So we were using their food, which is great.
Well, and as you just found out, not only is this an entry into our film festival, but you won the Northwest Filmmakers Award, which for us is one of the top awards. It's prestigious for us. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, when I heard that, I tell you, there was a shocked moment when he first told me this, and I'm like, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Welcome to the Tri-Cities, and welcome to Tri-Fi.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Corbin.
Appreciate it.